Hey everyone, welcome to Marketing for Designers podcast. I'm your host, Masha Coyne, a messaging strategist and a copywriter for the interior design industry. I've been marketing for what feels like forever in my past career at some of the biggest global firms like KPMG and Deloitte. Today, I write website copy for designers using my signature voice of customer framework. If you're a designer looking to up your marketing game and attract premium clients, this podcast is for you. Each week on the show, we're going to be talking all things marketing, from branding to messaging to social media, SEO, and so much more. So you can have all the tools you need to grow your business and attract your dream clients. So what's a website without personality? And if I could give you an analogy, what's it like for me? It's like showing up to a coffee date in a stiff suit when everyone else is in jeans. Here's why. People come to your website because they want to see you. They want to get a feel for who you are before they even hit contact or whatever that call to action that you want them to take. Because the entire time they're on your website, they're asking themselves, could I actually work with this person, with this designer? Would they get my vibe, my style? Would the personality click? And if your website sounds like it could belong to anyone, like if it sounds and looks and smells like any other designer, they'll simply move on. There's not going to be anything that's going to hook them. So adding personality is so important to your website. It's about giving your clients that gut feeling that, yep, you're in the right place. It lets them see your quirks, your voice, your personality, maybe a little bit of information, a little behind the scenes of what's it like to work with you, what your process looks like, how do you work, what kind of clients you work with. So the result is when you inject personality into your website, when they read your story on your about page, when they click on your services to get to know your process, when they scroll through your portfolio looking at your beautiful work, the goal is you make them feel something. The entire time they're connecting with you, and it's not just your beautiful work or the way you create whatever it is that they want in their home, but they're truly emotionally connecting with you. And when that happens, they're more likely to reach out. So I think injecting personality into your website is extremely important. And if you feel when you look at your website and if you feel that it's lacking in that department, it's lacking to truly showcase who you are and what's it like to work with you and the kind of vibe that you want your audience to feel, I'm going to share a couple of tips on where and how you can inject personality into your website. So I think I'm going to share 5 things. I have 6, but I feel like odd numbers are a lot better. So let's start with the first one, and then I'll see how I feel about it. The first one is that's like the lowest hanging fruit, and we're talking about your about page. The easiest way to inject personality into your website is on your about page by sharing your story, because your about page is the perfect place to show who you are beyond what you're capable of, beyond your work. So the way to do that is, you want to share personal stories, how you got into interior design, maybe what brought you here today to this point. Maybe you were doing something else before becoming an interior designer. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you've always been that. Maybe you've moved a lot, or maybe you had a fixer-upper. Whatever that is, share your story. Share what inspires you. Share your core values. And you can share your unique experiences that shaped your approach to design. So perhaps you have like a really great interior, like a design philosophy. So that's where you want to share it, and you want to include fun details, because you also want your people, your ideal clients, to get to know the real you. So share things like I've done fun Q&As on when I worked with interior designers, and we would create like a really fun Q&A where you would share fun places that you traveled to, your favorite travel destinations. You can share your behind the scenes look at your process. You can share your favorite food, favorite drink, favorite books, whatever that is that allows people to get to know you. Because when people get to know you, It creates an emotional connection. They feel like it builds that know, like, and trust factor, and it allows your audience to get to know you. It humanizes your brand, and it builds that bond. So when they're looking at a bunch of different websites for interior designers, they feel something for yours. Yours is the one that's the most memorable one. So the goal is to make your visitors, your website visitors, feel like they know you on a personal level. So that's number one. Number two. Number two is on the way to build, the way to inject personality into your website is on your services page. And the way here's what you want to do here. You want to add a conversational tone on your services page, because every time I think about a services page for interior designers, there's always this like stiff, it's like one of the most boring pages, because that's like, here's my 5 steps in my process. Here's like boom, boom, boom. Like it's very as a matter of factly um, rather than something conversational, something easy to read, something that would show your audience that you are so much fun to work with. So instead of writing stiff or formal description of your process or your service, adapt a conversational tone, like as if you're talking to a friend. This helps your personality really come through and makes your service a lot more approachable and human. So yes, you're this amazing brand, but you're also a really great human to work with. So use phrases, like literally use language and phrases and words that reflect how you'd explain your process just in a casual conversation with a friend over coffee, over a drink. And in that way, you also want to highlight your experience. And you can do that. Even though you're using conversational tone, you can still highlight and showcase your expertise and stay relatable and conversational. So here's an example that I could give you, like how you could accomplish doing that. Designing your dream space isn't just about picking pretty furniture. It's about creating a home that feels like you. It's working closely with you to understand your lifestyle so we can design something functional, stylish, and uniquely yours. See, we're not just talking about, well, here's my process. I work with you, I listen to you, this is when we understand your vision. The way I kind of said it in a much more kind of fun and casual way, yet I'm still explaining how I do what I do, how because I listen to your vision, and I explain to you that it's so much more than just picking the right furniture and arranging it in a specific way. So that's number two. Number three is make your calls to action more inviting on your website. As you know, there's not just one primary call to action on your website. There's lots of different calls to action. Like on your homepage, for example, there's these micro calls to action. If you look at your homepage, you're probably gonna scroll down a little bit below the main part of your website under the fold, and then you'll see a little section about you. Then there is a little section about your services. And then each one should have a call to action to go to that dedicated page, to visit your about page, to learn more about you. Then it'll take you to a services page. So there could be different calls to action across your website. But what I'm trying to say is that make them a lot more inviting. You can infuse personality into your calls to action by making them more engaging and fun. So instead of just generic, like contact us or book now or reach out, first of all, I want to preface this by saying that your call to action is not just that button. It's not just that single button. It's also the couple of lines before the button, the couple of lines that make it really compelling, that makes somebody to really want to click on it. It's like the reason why you should click on this button is, and capture that in those couple of lines. So basically, um, you want to give people the reason to click on that button. You want to explain what you want to get them excited. So make them more inviting. So create calls to action that really reflect your style and invite that deeper to build that deeper connection. You can also use humor or language that makes people feel welcome and excited to take the next step. Like you can say something like, let's create something beautiful together, or ready to make your home a showstopper. Let's chat. So it's not like very serious, let's book your call or reach out to us, but get them excited. That's the whole goal. You want to get them excited to reach out. So that's number 3. Number 4 is on your portfolio page. So your portfolio page should not just be photos of your work alone. It's great that you have photos there, but you want to tell a story behind each project. Actually, the portfolio page is like a whole different episode that I want to record because there's so much potential in your portfolio, but this is also the place where you can inject that personality. So rather than just listing your project specs, like, this is the name of the project, this is where it's at, here are some of the vendors that I worked with, whatever it is that you typically list on your portfolio page. But instead, you want to tell a story and you want to use portfolio to tell the stories behind your favorite designs. You want to explain, even structure it like a case study. Here's the problem that my client came to me with. Here's the solution. Here's how we, creatively overcome certain problems that we had. And here's the transformation. Here's the result, basically. So you want to explain the challenges that you faced, the inspiration behind the designs, and how you solved your client's problems. Because at the end of the day, it's all about solving clients' problems. So it's not only showcasing your expertise, but it's also giving your readers insight into your thoughts, into your creativity, into your thoughtful process and your personality. A lot of times, what I see on portfolio pages is just photos, but it's not providing context. And your website visitors need that context, because at the end of the day, what you want to happen is when people are visiting your portfolio and they're reading about these stories, they can connect to this or they can relate to this and say, hey, it looks like this project is, I don't know, maybe it's a Victorian home, or maybe it's an older fixer-upper, and here's the transformation. And what you want to evoke in your website visitors, like, hey, I have a similar situation. I can actually see myself in that. Let me see how she was able to overcome certain problems with this project. So you are giving people to relate to resonate with something. That's why it's so important. But at the same time, there's like a dual purpose. Not only you're providing them context for each project and allowing them to see how you were able to solve certain problems or challenges and what was the transformation, but you're also allowing them to see how you actually work. So you can start with something like, under each project, like I said, format it as a case study. Like, here's a problem, and you could talk about, like, the living room started with this one piece, a vintage rug that my client had, for years and years and years from their grandma. And inspired by its bold patterns, we built a space that balanced rich colors and modern furniture, creating a space where old meets new, just like their family's heritage. You can make it so much fun. It doesn't have to be stiff, and it doesn't have to be like, here are the vendors that I use, here are the products, here are the materials, here's the name of the project, the location. Like, build a story narrative. We know that stories sell, stories connect. So that's what you want to do on your portfolio page. And this is how it's pretty simple to inject that personality and showcase what's it like to work with you. The last piece that I wanted to share is, I feel like it's one of the easiest ones. It's start a blog if you don't already have one. If you have one, great. But the blog is where you can show your expertise, but also your voice. Blogs, it's kind of like you don't have to be all formal there like we typically are on our websites. Blogs are such a great place to let your personality really, really shine while still sharing that expertise. If you have a blog, aim to write as if you're talking to a friend in a very conversational tone, like you're sitting over coffee and telling stories. Avoid technical jargon or industry jargon unless it is part of your natural style, because I think it's so important to make sure that it sounds and looks like you, in line with your brand, whatever that brand is, whatever your voice is part of your brand. So instead, focusing on offering value in a way that feels very approachable. So you can share personal anecdotes here. You can share lessons learned from projects. or maybe something unique that you did, like something maybe that you had a creative challenge and you can show how you solved that challenge. Blog is really gives you a really amazing opportunity to showcase the you behind your brand. So you could do something like, let's talk friends. There's no denying that minimalist interiors have been having a moment. But if you're like me and can't resist a pop of color, here's how to incorporate bold hues without overwhelming your space. So you're showcasing what's important to you. You're showcasing your unique point of view, but you're also showcasing your expertise, that you're pro in this industry and you know what you're talking about. And most importantly, like I said before, you're actually showing the you're humanizing your brand. And blog is a perfect way to do that because it's not like your services page or your about page. It's kind of like letting your hair loose a little bit and being a little bit more conversational on this page. So these are the 5 tips. So first, we're talking about your about page. Then we're talking about your services page. Then we're making our calls to action a little bit more inviting. Then there's portfolio page and sharing the stories behind each project. And the 5th one is the blog that allows us to share our expertise, but also showcase our voice. And the last one, maybe I'll give you a bonus one, but I feel like it's almost like common sense. It's almost like the given. And what I'm talking about is your homepage. So your homepage is where people land. This is the first place on your website that your website visitors will visit. So you want to set the tone right away. And this is what you do on your homepage, like right from the start, from the main above the fold headline, because that your homepage is often the first impression your potential clients will get. So make sure it reflects your personality right off the bat. If you're quirky, sound quirky. If you're polished, sound polished. If you're laid back, do that. Communicate in a way that allows people to get to know you right away. So when they get to your about page or your services page or your portfolio page, they see this consistency and they get this, like I said in the beginning, it helps when you inject personality, it helps to build that know, like, and trust factor. So when they land on your homepage and it's like, oh, okay, I feel like I already know this person. And it's so important, that feeling, I can't stress enough how important it is when whoever is landing on your webpage, on your website, and they're getting a vibe from you. They feel like they already know you, they're connecting with you. It's so important because, maybe they've visited your social media. Maybe you were recommended by a friend, because when they land on your website, they're not just visiting to kind of vet your qualifications, but they want to see, okay, is this lining up? Whatever I was told about this designer, I want to make sure it's lining up. So it's such an important opportunity to take advantage of that. When people land on your website, you want to showcase your personality. And these are my 6 tips. So like I said, about page, services page, inviting calls to action, stories behind your portfolio, your blog, and setting the right tone on your homepage. And that's how you inject personality into your website. I hope this was helpful. Thanks so much. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Marketing for Designers. This is Masha Cohen signing off. See you next week.